Hi. In section 14 of Counsels and Maxims, Schopenhauer gives us some advice on how to govern our minds in order to avoid disappointment. Here's what he writes. The sight of things which do not belong to us is very apt to raise the thought, if only that were mine, making us sensible of our privation. Instead of that, we should do better by more frequently putting to ourselves the opposite case. If that were not mine. What I mean is that we should sometimes try to look upon our possessions in the light in which they would appear if we had lost them. Whatever they may be, property, health, friends, a wife or child or someone else we love, our horse or our dog. It is usually only when we have lost them that we begin to find out their value. But if we come to look at things the way I recommend, we shall be doubly the gainers. We shall at once get more pleasure out of them than we did before, and we shall do everything in our power to prevent the loss of them. For instance, by not risking our property, or angering our friends, or exposing our wives to temptation, or being careless about our children's health, and so on. So I'll pause here for a comment. This is an interesting observation that Schopenhauer makes. He's noting that if we fantasize about having more than we have, if I have what I have and I think about what I don't have, I'm directing myself to a kind of illusory better world, which I'm contrasting with the world that I live in. What I ought to do is to reverse the order. To better appreciate what I have, I should speculate and think about what I don't have. I should think about the loss of what I have. What would I do if my wife were dead, if I lost my job? In doing this, he says, we will gain both in the sense that we will get more pleasure out of what we have, we'll be more grateful, and we will also sort of reinforce in ourselves the necessity of careful action to hold on to what we have, because the loss of it is something we've just recently brought to mind. Schopenhauer continues, we often try to banish the gloom and despondency of the present by speculating upon our chances of success in the future, a process which leads us to invent a great many chimerical hopes. Every one of them contains the germ of illusion, and disappointment is inevitable when our hopes are shattered by the hard facts of life. Again, Schopenhauer is telling us, don't fantasize about a better world, fantasize or imagine a worse world than the one you live in, and you will avoid disappointment. And as we'll see in the next paragraph, you'll have additional pleasures besides. Schopenhauer finishes this section by writing, it is less hurtful to take the chances of misfortune as a theme for speculation, because in doing so, we provide ourselves at once with measures of precaution against it. I might say that by imagining what the loss of my wife and child or my job would be, I'm already thinking about how I would react and what steps I would take to prevent that loss. And a pleasant surprise when it fails to make its appearance. Okay, this is the meaning behind the quip that the pessimist has only pleasant surprises. When things don't turn out as badly as he expects, he is pleasantly surprised because the situation is better. Is it not a fact that we always feel a marked improvement in our spirits when we begin to get over a period of anxiety? I may go further and say that there is some use in occasionally looking upon terrible misfortunes, such as might happen to us, as though they had actually happened. For then, the trivial reverses, which subsequently come in reality, are much easier to bear. So against the backdrop of the calamity that I've imagined and prepared myself for and steeled myself against, the minor reversals, the first world problems that I genuinely face in reality, are much easier for me to accept. It is a source of consolation to look back upon those great misfortunes which never happened. But in following out this rule, care must be taken not to neglect what I have said in the preceding section, that is, in section 13, about the proper governance of the imagination. So overall here in section 14, some good advice from Schopenhauer about the right way to handle our imagination, our fantasy life, so to speak. There's a bit of old proverbs that come to mind in thinking about this. I cried because I had no shoes until I met a man who had no feet. Thinking about the loss of what we have is going to be mentally healthier for us in appreciating what we have than being envious or speculating or fantasizing about what we might have. So that's a look at section 14 of Schopenhauer's Counsels and Maxims. Thanks for watching today. Goodbye.